There we go. Welcome. There's a lot of interesting people on there doing live and stuff. So GB News Live. All right, let's see who's going to join me in my space today. Welcome everybody, and come on in. Let's talk a little bit about the astrology today and some of the shenanigans of what is unfolding for today and the vibrational energy as it vibrates out into the cosmic energies, cosmic world, cosmic atmosphere, cosmic layers, whatever you want to have as the cosmic. Hey, Erica. Doing mini readings. So if anybody wants a mini reading, they're $15, and I'm doing them online here. Like either it's on YouTube, the Guru Mama page, the Guru Mama shop page, or on Instagram. I can't, if you are on my regular Facebook page, come on over to Instagram or YouTube and I can see you and you can ask your questions and stuff like that. So what's going on? What are the shenanigans are? I mean, this isn't a light energy moon. And it would be nice to come out and bring out little beautiful flowers and sunshine and, tulips blooming and little bunny rabbits hopping away, hippity hoppity hippity hop. Wouldn't that be so wonderful? Little bunnies popping their head out and let's all go and just be in lovely, beautiful Disney World land somewhere that's nice. But this is a real push forward type of energy and how it's coming to be. If you do, I'm just going to cut myself off right here. If you do send a donation, just pop up here and say send a donation and I'll start doing a reading for you. You're going to find like there's so many like why I became a leader. Like one of the things for me in doing this work, it is a calling. That's all I can say. It's a calling. I'm always drawn back to it. It shows up in so many ways. I think when I chose the family I chose, my mother and my father, and that inspirational spark of that time of my conception was to bring in a different way of looking at the world. Yet I had to have a foundation. So I wanted to come into a family that had a foundation. And I came into a very strong family foundation. I mean, built on Catholicism. My grandmother always said the rosary. We had dear Grandma Merrick, great Grandma Merrick, I guess. She would you'd say the rosary after dinner, and she would have midday rosary. You do the rosary a lot. Never met the woman, but she was a very stern woman. The one picture I did see of her, we wouldn't call her a handsome woman. That's all I'm going to say. She she looked very sturdy. I guess that's what you would say. Now, she would have been born in the early 1800s, right? So to be sturdy and stern, that's the way you had to be, and being a Catholic. Now, that's where the Irish comes in, because during that time, too, you wouldn't have found a lot of Catholics in England. They were persecuted. So the persecution of being a certain religion. And to me, that was the other reason why I have found out why I chose my family, because my family had been persecuted in different ways for their religious beliefs, right down to when my father and when my grandmother did move to Canada. She was English. My grandfather was Irish. He spoke Gaelic, and they were considered Irish Catholics, right? And my father would get beat up on the way home for being an Irish Catholic at coming to Canada, right? They were in Lethbridge, Alberta, for Christ's sake, out of all the places to be. But moving from Birmingham, England to Lethbridge, Alberta, I mean, you're moving from a bustling major city to Lethbridge, Alberta, that didn't have sidewalks. Didn't really have anything. It was after the war in 1919. So here I am looking at the astrology today. Why am I telling you all of this? Is that the persecution of being a certain belief system and what that means to stand up for what you believe in and what you truly know within your heart to be true, in a way that, now knowing what you know to be true in your heart is also knowing to be true that you are not going to go out and be a dick to somebody else and force what you believe upon somebody else. That's number one. That is, a huge one. And the one thing that I was graced with within my family is that they had a weird spiritual side. My grandmother read tea leaves, and she would do tea leaf readings on the side. And the tea leaf readings raised pocket money because my grandfather was an alcoholic. Good morning, Char. Good morning. Was an alcoholic, and he would go, as soon as he got paid, he would go to the local pub. And part of my father, as he got older, his job was to go and sit at the pub, because you could do it at that time. You could go into the local pub or saloon or whatever you want to call it, and he would sit there and wait for his father to show up. And he would wait till his dad acknowledged him as he sat there, and he would have a pop, a knee high. My dad called it a knee high. And he'd sit there and have a knee high until his dad came in. His dad would pay for it. And then wait. And sometimes my father, being a Leo, wasn't very patient at waiting for his dad to acknowledge him. Now, I haven't looked at my grandparents' astrological chart, and I don't know anything about my maternal side at all, because that side is sort of very, it's my mother didn't talk about it. My mother didn't know much about it. We know little bits and pieces. Her uncle, my uncle, her brother went to go find his mother's gravesite and could not find it at all. So we figured she was buried in a pauper's grave somewhere outside of Detroit in the 30s. So was just buried without any gravestone or anything in a pauper's grave. Or something like that. They don't know. So anyways, on my father, anyways, he'd wait for the money, get the money, come home, give my grandmother, mother, the money. Mother would get the mother. Now, mother was not, she could be called mum, or mother. She preferred to be called, if you're going to call her mum, it's not M-O-M, it's M-U-M. And it's used as a sign of endearment and authority. Like you call somebody mom, are you going to pour the tea? Mom or mother, those are forms not only of like adornment, but it's also knowing that person has authority, right? That bitch is in charge. And would bring home the money directly to, and my grandmother only trusted my father to do that. She didn't trust any of her other children to do that. She knew Harold would bring the money home, right? I hate when my kids call me mother. So he brought it home. So that was quite interesting. And it would only cover the basis because she was in charge of, she had to feed all these, feed the kids. Some of her children were a lot older. Some of the stories I heard, like my uncle Leo was, he was a jockey. When I saw him, I'm like, how could you be a jockey? You're so tall. But I guess before he had his growth spurt, he was scrawny kid, and they smuggled him all the way down to Mexico. And any money that he won from horse racing, riding the horses, all the money would always get sent back to his mom, because his dad didn't always provide because his dad was an alcoholic. So anyways, my grandmother, what she would do, she'd read tea leaves on the side. And she was also a furrier. So she mended furs, made things from furs and stuff like that. And then she would also, if people would come in, you're doing your sewing with as a furrier, right? And a seamstress. Well, you would have people waiting for you sometimes. And would you like a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea? And then they all knew, like, oh, yes, we'd love a cup of tea, please, Mrs. Merrick. Yes, please. All right. Now, if you want a cup of tea, you know that's going to cost you X amount of dollars, $1 or whatever it was at the time. And that's how she'd earn extra money. Right up to when I was a little one, and she'd have people over during the day when my mom and dad were at work, and I didn't go to school till I was like five and a half. Like there was no kindergarten. School started at when you were 6. So I was home with my grandmother until I was at least, almost 6 years old. And she would always have these people over in the afternoon. And that was her pocket money. And that's how she made her pocket money, and doing tea leaf readings. She stopped doing tea leaf readings during the war, World War I. She said she wouldn't do readings during the war. And then when the war started in World War II, she knew when it was starting. She knew with everything. So she said from about the late 30s till around the middle 40s, she didn't really do a lot of tea leaf readings for people. And that was mainly because there's too much death. My grandmother didn't like to see death. She didn't like to deal with death. She was born on Christmas Eve, December 24th. So she was definitely a Capricorn. But she was also very, when it came to people dying and illnesses and that, she didn't like it. Anyways, coming back to the astrology, what we're seeing in was it pure intuition, or did she learn it? I think it's pure intuition. It's just my father had it. My father could tell you who was on the phone before he picked up the phone. And that there was no caller ID. Remember, it was rotary phone, right? And he would call up, or he would say, oh, don't, that's a business call, or this is this. He could also read cards. Like you would be holding your cards like that, and he could tell you what was in the card and stuff like that. Or he'd walk into the room and say, oh, so-and-so is holding 2 aces or whatever, and they'd get pissed off at him. So my father had a knowingness. He knew things. And so it wasn't talked about, so about, things like that were not talked about. Women reading tea leaves was very common in the 1800s. It was very accepted for reading tea leaves, and right up into the early 1900s and 1920s and that. It was something, because women would go to the kitchen and men would stay in the living room or whatever, after dinner if you had people over. So it was very common for women to go and then would start, oh, let me see what's in your cup. And you look at, oh, okay. And they talk about, oh, you're going to get married, or you're going to do, all other questions, especially the young girls would come in. When will I meet the man I love? So it was very, just very intuitive. My mother had dreams. If my mother came and said to you, don't go there, she either had a dream about it or a premonition about what was going to unfold. And she just knew. But we didn't discuss it because you're good Catholics. So you go to church on Sunday and get your blessing. She just had that intuition, right? Another interesting thing about my mom was they would go to mass. And one morning that they went to early morning mass, Mom woke up and she said to my dad, we got to go to mass, which is fine. My dad's like, sure, let's go, and it was just her and dad that went to mass that morning. It was weekday mass. So we were left at home, like the older kids were taking care of me. So whoever was the elders, they're like 14 and so at that age. So the older ones were taking care of the younger ones when mom and dad went to mass, which is, when I think about it, um, if mom and dad were going to mass, we all had to go to mass kind of thing. But mom said, no, we're going to mass. I need to go by. Dad and I need to go to mass today. So they went to mass. And my mom kept having a weird feeling. Like in the Catholic Church, we have a crying room because you don't want the children crying during mass, right? So you got to go to the crying room. That's what they used to call it. Or they call it the playroom now, but the crying room. But my mother kept looking back to the crying room, right? And having a feeling there's somebody there, somebody's there. And so she got up and she went off and she went to the bathroom and she came back. And then she said, Harold, there's something wrong. There's something wrong. We got to go into the crying room. And dad was like, okay, what do you need to go to the, no, there's something wrong. They go into the crying room and they're looking around, couldn't see anything. All they could see was, it looked, a doll. My mom looked at this doll and said, oh, she said, Harold, look at, they really put they put the anatomy on this doll really well. And looked at it again. And mom goes, no, it's a baby. And my mom found a baby in the back of the church, a little baby boy. And they picked him up and mom wrapped him up and stuff like that. And they went, of course, to the priest, and the priest, calling the police. And I guess the janitor saw a young girl coming in early in the morning and then left, but didn't pay any attention. He thought she came in to pray and then left, but she came in and she left the baby. And my mom and dad could have adopted him, but my mom said no. She just had 6 kids, and one more was sort of the tipping of everything. And but my mom said, until somebody's ready, she goes, I know there's a family out there, because she understood what it would be like to adopt a child, because my eldest brother is adopted. And there's a whole story that goes along with him and his adoption and finding him. And my mom goes, there's a special family out there that really need to have this little boy. But we will keep care of him, like we'll foster him until we find a home, until somebody finds a home. And within a few weeks, they found a really good home. My mom and dad met the family and explained the background story to them. And this family adopted the little boy. So intuition is there, but it's following that intuition, which is very much, let's go back into the astrology. It's following that brightness, that light that is true, because there is a, with Jupiter and in a semi-square to Neptune, is very much, that is huge propaganda and wanting to bring in propaganda and Jupiter expands things. Now, he does not judge what he expands whatever, right? So he's doing this, with Neptune, and Neptune's at the end, near the end of what, in Pisces. So this, and Jupiter is in Taurus. So Taurus is, so we have this, this energy of the mystical, the energy of the divine in with the physical, right? And Neptune's at home. And so he's boss. And so and in a semi-square, it's not exactly square. It's not, it's sort of, it's kind of that odd. So you think of, okay, what is the energy that's coming down to this mundane world? It's propaganda. What does Neptune rule? Neptune rules the dream world. It rules when it comes to religion and thoughts of religion, right? So we have this energy that's coming in that is bringing in a lot of propaganda when it comes to religion, when it comes to what you are going to be seeing. Now, Neptune's been doing this all along. We've been seeing a lot of different propaganda that has been started since 2020. and what that propaganda has been, and the messages that have been coming out to people, and people coming in, and whether they're following that propaganda, because it can be very, very convincing. And that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be very, very convincing. It is supposed to be clutching and getting you to really look, I'm right over here. I'm doing this. This is a justification of the divine, of God. We'll say of God. And my God has that justification. Well, we've seen that over and over and over and over again throughout history. We've seen that many, many times before. And it's coming in again, it's coming in very strong. And you're going to see depictions of what they want you to think is right and what is righteous. And that you're going to be seeing like pictures of family and things, and look at, we want to bring families back together. We want to bring back, what you all were raised on, right? What was good, what was righteous. But we're doing this because that's what God wants for you, in the name of whoever the name of your God is. And just going back to, I'm going to go back to this 10 Commandments. Believe in one God and no God before me. I asked a question once. This is why I got in trouble in catechism class. Asking questions, like even asking questions on, if Judas was, so bad, wouldn't he be a good guy, like an angel, because he let people know who Jesus was? And then if he didn't let people know who Jesus was, and Jesus couldn't do what Jesus did, and then we wouldn't have known. So he's kind of like a good, bad guy kind of thing, Judas. Anyways, got in trouble for that. Another time was, going over the 10 Commandments, like the first commandment, I am the only God. There is no other gods before me. And it kind of made me think, what if there's no other gods before you, mean there's other gods? And I sort of got in trouble, like, no, there isn't, Mary. There's only one God. But if there's only one God, why would he have to put that commandment out there and say that he is the only God and that there's no other gods before him? If there's no other gods before him, why would he have to make that statement? Is there other gods before him? Like, who are these gods? Anyway, got in trouble for that. So this is a part of the crazy propaganda that's coming in. That is going to get us where they feel like they are the light, but they're not the light. They're the darkness that's coming forth. And with this, even back to when Mercury retrograded in Aries, is that 2019? 2020, I think. 2020, was an activation. And again, Mars retrograded in Aries, and he was at home. He was in a nice spot. I'm at home. I'm doing my thing here. And now he's going fast forward through Scorpio. He's at home with Mercury. And Mercury's going to be like, what do you want to say? Because usually Mercury can be kind of neutral, because he can go to the underground and go up. But here he is. He's coming in. And Pluto in Capricorn, this isn't, unicorn kind of energy. It's not like here, fluffy, beautiful energy. Years ago I used to say, oh, today's a good day, or oh, today's sort of medium, or today's, oh, watch out. Like, since 2019, it's been like, whoa, things are pretty shitty, or things are getting intense. And it's like we're at a breaking point of how much more tension can we take. But it is this enforcement that's coming in that is getting us to really ignite within our own selves and within our own beings, and allow for that eternal flame of the truth of who we are and being seen. Right now in Canada, if you're a YouTuber and you're getting over 10 million, you have to, and you are, your YouTube is going into Canada, you have basically have to, you know, register with the Canadian government. You have to register with the Canadian government. I'm not there. I'm not, not there. I'm not at the 10 million revenue a year with YouTube or making that. Otherwise, I would have to register. And I often wonder, like, maybe that's the reason why I can still sort of float underneath the scope and get a message out there to people without fully being known. Although, sometimes I do get strikes. I got, but I feel that's where, still allowing myself to be seen without being seen, if that makes sense. And not and getting the message out that we have to be strong. It is, where Uranus is right now was where the start of World War II was, and that was in 1939. 1939, I wrote it down. Yeah, it was in 1939, September 1st, 1939, and that's when Germany went into Poland. And every time we say right now, oh, they won't do that. Oh, they won't do that. Oh, they won't. And they've done it. They've pushed it every single time and pushed it, with the government's pushing it to a point where you have to comply. If you don't comply, they will do or make or ways of making you comply. And this is where, for many spiritualists, tarot readers, and astrologers, when we're rounded up and thrown into prisons, because they don't want you to speak out, especially if you're doing anything with prediction or your predictions are pretty bang on, and especially when you study history and you know what the history, and you look at the astrology and the history of what's going on, and then you see, like, holy shit, I mean, we're in this alignment right now of invasions, of propaganda. I mean, this is when the United States government took over Disneyland, and that's why Donald Duck wears a sailor suit, right? This is when, bringing in, to be on the side of justice, and what is the side of justice. But the thing is, a lot of energies have flipped. And the flipping is saying that who you thought was the good guy last time is the bad guy this time. Who you thought was, your best friend or your ally is no longer your ally, is your enemy. So a lot of things are flipping in different ways. And we're seeing that. And this is where, we bringing your light is understanding that. But it's also with Scorpio is like really understanding and pushing the limits of jealousy and pushing the limits of redefining of what it is that you want, pushing the lines of revenge. What is revenge? What does it mean when you want to be revengeful? What does it mean when you want to do that harm onto other people? Scorpio will push that line. I mean, good or bad, it'll bring you to those depths of places that you don't want to go. And that's where the energies are being pushed. That's where we're being pushed. We're being pushed into this energy, right? Okay. All right. Have fun at work. And we're being pushed back into, of this energy, but not taking on the victimhood mentality. That's the thing. Scorpio is going to push you, and it's going to get you to realize things and feel things that you don't like to feel, that you don't want to look at. It's going to get you to say, okay, this is not right. This isn't just. When you say to somebody, you can't believe in that way. Like for me, when it looks, when I look at the LGBTQ community, God bless you. You do you, but don't push you onto me. Don't think that I have to comply with what you say. And don't push your flag on to me, because that's not my thing, right? this is where it's like, yeah, it has to be your thing because I said so. You have to believe this because I said so. And we're doing this in the name of God. We're doing this in the name of whomever. When you see that, we're doing this in the name of science. Science says this is the right thing to do. In the name of science. Right? In the name of science. So we're doing this in the name of whatever. That is when you really have to really look at, okay, what is the meaning of this? Why are they doing this? And now with this moon in being exalted in Taurus, and who's the dispository, who's the ruler of Taurus, is Venus, and Venus is in Virgo, and she's not happy. She doesn't like to be in Virgo. She doesn't want to be in Virgo. She doesn't, it's like I have to wear these doughty clothes. I have to put on these combat boots, and I got to go out in the field and do what? This isn't Venus. Venus wants to be beautiful. She wants to do her lips up. She wants to do her hair and wear pretty jewelry, and she wants to drink wine and eat chocolate, you know, because she rules Taurus. Like, she wants to have that beautiful things. She wants to make sure that, oh, is everybody fine? Okay, but we're not having that at my dinner because I don't eat Brussels sprouts. So we're not serving Brussels sprouts at my dinner. But now she has to have the Brussels sprouts because she's in Virgo, because that's all there is Brussels sprouts. Well, I got to eat this. What do you mean? Well, we got to eat what we got. We got to utilize what we have. There's no pickers or choosers right now. This is what you got to do if you want to survive. So this is where we're at, and the energies are becoming more and more intense. Who would have thought, what the United States did the other day in Syria? Yeah, this is the draft energy. When they started drafting, I mentioned that before, and a lot of people, I got a few people not happy with me, but that's fine. I can't move this, right? This is when there's going to be a lot of victim mentality and the lacking of our own quality, knowing that of who you are, but it sucks. It sucks. What can I say? It's not where we're not in a time where we really rally behind our monarchy. World War I. Everybody loved, of course you're going, the monarch. Yeah, we rally. World War II, seeing all what was being transpired in World War II, and the royal family. Oh, they're still there. Oh, wow. They're, no, they're underneath. They're not actually in the Buckingham Palace. But then again, Hitler did not want certain places bombed in France or in England, because those are the places he wanted to live. He wanted to live in Buckingham Palace and a few of the royal houses, and same with Versailles. Versailles was not allowed to be bombed or anything around Versailles in France, because that was going to be his that's where he was going to live, because he was going to be the ruler. The insanity of it all. And he did have an astrologer, but he had one astrologer. He would pull out other astrologers out of the jails, and then put them back in to get the information, to collaborate information and stuff from them, and then put them back in. But they did that back with John Dee. John Dee was part of the court of Queen Mary before Queen Elizabeth came in. So Queen Mary got angry at John Dee and thought he was, a blasphemy, and threw him in jail because he made somebody sick because of his magic, right? And Queen Elizabeth, who has a Pluto in Aquarius, she had a Pluto in Aquarius, said no. Now, if you look at Queen Elizabeth I's energy, she was known as the Virgin Queen. She never married, because the thing is, for her to get married was very much like, no, because I don't want to give my power away. I'm here to bring the unity of Britain together. And she did. She was one who went out and talked in front of the troops and went and wore all white and being virtuous one, right? Because she's a virgin queen, to bring her people together. I mean, she was that energy, and that's very much the Pluto and Aquarius, to be the virtuous, to bring in humanity, to bring her community together in the way that she knew what was right. And she had John Dee. John Dee was her astrologer. He was her advisor on a lot of what she did. And having that advisor. And the thing is that if you don't think, like, a lot of these rulers don't have advisors, they have advisors. I really think Putin, I really think he does have an astrological advisor because of how he's playing things out and just watching. He's just watching how far things are going to get pushed, because he hasn't done what he needs to be doing. And the other thing too is, like, being we have a king now. All wars are started with a king. Primarily, it's usually a king, and he's the head of the Church of England. So we have the king, who actually has to sign things into law in Great Britain, and he signed a few things into law recently, so which is quite interesting. So we have this energy of religion really coming forth, and where you will find that a lot of books are going to be banned. They've already started, and that's censorship. Who could say what they who are they going to allow to say things? Who are they going to allow to have on different programmings? As much as I like Mr. Brandt, it's just there's could he be a plant to rally people up? It's a double-edged sword. It's that double-edged sword, that we're going to see. It is where you're going to see the seven of swords. The deception is being played at this time, and what that deception is. If you sent, just saying, I'm doing mini readings. So if you sent $15 to get a mini reading done, you want a mini reading, just let me know, and I will start pulling cards for you. But that's where the deception is. That's where a lot of this energy is coming in and unfolding at this time. Where Jordan Peterson, like, he is with the Daily News, which is with that Jewish boy. I can't think of his name, but who's come out with the cries of bomb them all, with have Israel being, bomb them, kill them all, and this energy. And you're just like, okay, that's very justified. And Jordan Peterson is bringing in a lot of Bible work and basing his stuff on the Bible, and some of his work. I mean, yeah, you see really good stuff coming out of it, and really good information that needs to come out. Yet there is that part, or that play, that who's backing them. You do your investigation on who's backing them, and it's a lot to do with the right. I was going to say the conservative, but I think it's Republican in the United States. And you look at who's liking all of these posts, who are on hate for astrologers and tarot readers, they're Republicans. Not that I'm going liberal or that side, but I'm just saying both sides are playing. Both sides are playing that game. Both sides are doing it. And that's where you have to come into your neutrality with this. You really have to, because the extremes with Eris conjunct the North Node, the extreme times of power, and this light force energy, this is, the moon is exalted, and, Uranus at 21 degrees, where, World War II started, and we have the energies of coming into the craziness of King Henry VIII, and you know, it's all of this playing of energies that is playing around, that I feel like, you see this merry-go-round of energy where you have to stand in the center and be the centeredness, and not try and hop on to the different rides and thinking that's where I need to go. And this full moon, with all of it, I'm just saying, I wouldn't, it's not, would I put my rocks out? I know a lot of people put their crystals out in the moonlight and stuff like that. With the intensity of this energy, it's not necessarily I would do that, right? This isn't a moon that I really want my crystals to be empowered with that type of illumination. And with Jupiter going all the way back in Taurus, when it goes forward on December 31st, will be at the same degree of this full moon. So there's going to be an activation of Pluto going forward on the point of this moon. So there's an activation. This is an activation point. This is an energy that's being activated with this moon energy. And it's how we are coming into this moon energy. How are we coming into this activation for it? So it's 5 degrees. So at 5 degrees. So let me just... Let's see. So the Sabian symbol for 5 degrees So the Sabian symbol for 5 degrees Taurus, letting go of grief and sorrow. So this is the 5th degree of expansion, power, is the progression principle. So this 5 degrees of Taurus is a activation of power. And it's an activation of the letting go of that. Here it is. A widow at the open grave. All natural compounds decay, said Buddha. The most beautiful and the most enjoyed substance loses its potential energy through the continuous actualization and the principle of integration, and form is withdrawn, leaving the void, the open grave. That ends all attachment. The void is a great challenge. What next? One must begin anew, and if possible, at a higher example, more inclusive and universal, less egocentric level. The 5th conclusion stage of the sequence, which deals with the root elements and basic actions and response, may seem negative, yet it opens the doors of self-renewal. Beyond the personal attachment rises the possibilities of participating in a larger sphere of existence. This possibility rarely manifests itself except as one is ready to discard the past. Now that's fucking powerful. That is powerful. So this moon is about let go of the past. It's going to be, even with the Venus and Chiron energy, it is about that old wound and the decay of that old wound. And it's saying, okay, this is done. We've done this. We have to let it go. And in letting it go, we allow for the healing to happen. And that's what needs to happen. But there is such deep depth of attachment The roots go so deep, and it's in Taurus. Taurus is, it's a very difficult sign to let something go when it really is convicted in something. As I say to many Taurians, is like, open the back gate. Open the back gate. Let whatever you're holding on in your back 40 out. Why are you keeping it? Right? Because a lot of times Tauruses will keep all of this, all these people and all of this, because they don't like to burn bridges. They want to make sure everything's right. And it's like, no, open the back gate, let it out. You don't need to hang on to this anymore. And that's where the energy is. It's like people are hanging on because I am convicted. I am right. And Venus is feeling, yeah, you are right, because I'm not getting what I want. I gotta wear this dappy dress, and I don't have my lip gloss that I like. So it's getting us to really look at things in a different light and say, okay, yeah, it's, you know what? Looking at the loss is going to be very difficult. But when you embrace it, the death card, when you embrace it, that's Scorpio, and you understand the jealousy and revenge, and you define it without becoming the victim, and in that victim mentality and that lack of owning, you start to see, and you start to say, okay, this is where we can start to heal. This is where we can start a new foundation. And that's what we want. We want to start that new foundation. We want to start that healing and bring forth that healing. That's where we want to go. That's what we want to do. And it's a difficult one to do. Let's pull some cards. I know. I'm keeping you guys on here. I know. I think I lost my Lexi and my Erica. But I know you guys all have stuff to do. So let's pull some cards here and get you on your way. But I want you to take this energy and really allow yourself to hold it within the energies of forgiveness. And that's going to be the hardest part. Hold this energy, and when you see a woman getting arrested for praying, or the horrific things that are happening, let's hold it and let's bring it to peace, right? And bring that energy into the peace. Let's bring that energy into forgiveness. And as we bring it into the forgiveness, we allow for the newness to come forth. And with it, yeah, it's going to take us to a new spot. It's going to take us to a new place. The place isn't defined, but there is troubled waters all around, right? There's troubled waters all around. And when we look at the Six of Swords, the swords are down. And we have to go to a place where that's anew. And, and what that looks like and what that feels like. And it's going to bring in a balance. Now, the Temperance is trying to find the right mixture, trying to find the right balance. And that's the thing, is that we're going to be trying to have to find the right balance within all of this in order for us to venture to the newness, venture to something different. And it's not going to look the way that you want it to look. There is, here we had the, now I'm trying to think, which is, I'm trying to think. Yeah. Not that I normally don't think, but the Governor General of Canada, spoke out about astrologers and that, and how, it's basically wrong. So you're going to find that even here in North America, and I showed you that in Pennsylvania, that tarot place, metaphysical shop, that they're wanting to attack them. They're wanting them to close down. And that's what you're going to find, is they're going to try and close these places down. They'll find reasons to close them down. They don't want them around. Right? So this is where you're going to find that, okay, I got to go to a new territory. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop saying what I'm going to do, but maybe I need to do things in a different way and start in a different way. So this is where, because in the name of Jesus Christ, like, you're a soothsayer, because it says here, this is wrong. And in it, yeah, it's not going to feel good. There's a lot of, doing this is just something there's not going to be, the Five of Swords is a very complex energy. It's a very unwielding energy. No, oh, hang on. Let me grab, because there's questions here. So you're going to go down. Whoa, you went down a level. Forgot about this book. I love the questions that come up. Five of Swords. Am I ready to connect with my heart's true intention? So here it comes in. Are you ready to mix what you want to mix, to step into your heart center in order to go to a different place? And am I being forced onto an uncomfortable path? You're being, definitely, we're being pushed to something that's uncomfortable, something that we can't even fathom. But a lot of things that have happened in the last few years, we couldn't fathom. We didn't even think they would happen. Oh, they won't do that. Oh, they won't. I'm just like, and I kept on saying, yes, they will. Yes, they will. Yes, they will. If they want you, they will find a way of getting you. That's why it's so important to have community and band together. That's why it's so important to have connections with people that you can trust and that understand. That's why it's so important to have that, because new laws can come in, hence our censorship. I couldn't even post a news article on my Facebook because it's banned in Canada, because Facebook didn't comply with what Canada wanted and pay their astronomical fees to have news posted on Facebook. So I couldn't post it. I had to copy and paste, right? So that's the thing. If they don't want something, they'll definitely do it. I mean, that's one of the laws the king just signed, is a censorship law. Why? Why are they doing censorship laws? Oh, we're going to war. Of course. I don't want you to have other news from other places. I don't want you to know what the fuck Putin's doing. I don't want you to know what this other guy's doing. I don't want you to know the other side of the story. Oh, you're an astrologer? Oh, that means you can see both sides? Oh, well, we're going to shut the fuck you up. So this is where it's like, it's a state of entrapment, of negativity. The thing is that a lot of these mixtures that are coming in are getting you to think that, I'm going to change this around. I'm going to change this reading around and say, the new way that they want you, the new land that you think that you're going to, is very peaceful. Yet, is it? Is it really peaceful? Because is there an entrapment? Is there a conflict or misguidance? A disagreement, an impulsive behavior that's coming in? And here we're trying to get this mixture. What is the mixture? What is in that mixture the temptress is doing? Do I want the mixture that she's doing and going into this new energy over here that I feel is dark? Really gets you to look at things in a different light when you think about it, because again, it is that entrapment. Am I feeling trapped with what they're doing? And here it comes, this beautiful temptress. She's a temptress. She's tempting. What is that temptation that is coming in, that is getting you to look at things? What is it? What is that energy that's getting looked at? So this is, what is the greatest block at this time? What is blocking you? Because that's going to keep you trapped from expanding, from doing it. Right? When you get, I watch some of these ones that are on TikTok, and I'm just like, and they're coming out with all their stuff. I'm just like, God, you guys, some of them are good. Some of them are just like, nah, I don't know about you. But this is where this, it's the spiritual stage. What is that spiritual stage that's being set up? And how does that look? What does that feel like as we're going forward? And the Nine of Cups is reversed. So all what we're wishing for isn't going to be exactly what you think that you're wishing for, because it's not going to look the way that you want it to look. It's going to look totally different. It's not going to look the way. The world that you are wanting to look like, the world that you think is going to be all hunky-dory and beautiful, may not be hunky-dory and beautiful. I'm going to say it's not going to be hunky-dory and beautiful. It's going to be really fucked up. And it's really going to be crazy. And this is where you're going to get unsatisfied, your desires. It's not going to be satisfying. It's going to be a struggle. And the struggle is going to be real, because it's going to push you to look at the deceit and the jealousy and things like that. It's Scorpio season. It's Scorpio season. So it's setting the stage for you to say, look at this crazy shit that's happening. And am I ready to step into gratitude? Am I ready to step into that light in order to change this energy so I don't fall into the victimhood of it? We don't want to fall into that victimhood. We don't want to fall into that deceit. This is where we want to stand in as strong. And this is beyond physical wealth and status. Because a lot of times people go in, I want to be the next great tarot reader or a spiritualist. And you got to oh, what's going on with all of this? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Right? Are you doing it to bring light to the world? Or are you doing it just for your own gain? Yes, there has to be some form of exchange. Definitely. That's why I said, if I'm going to do a reading for people today, there's an exchange of $15. There is that exchange, but this is where you can't come into the attachment. You got to let it go. And in letting it go, you're going to find that happiness and that truth in all of the craziness that is coming in. This is unsettling. This is overwhelming. This is a place where we always said, it will never happen to us. This won't happen. This can't happen to us, right? Trust totally in that intuition, in that knowingness, because the queen comes in. The queen comes in, not the king, the queen. The queen comes in and says, do you trust in your intuition? It was the Queen Elizabeth I that brought John Dee in and to be the consultant. John Dee, and bringing in what should I do? Does this sound like a right time? Is this the right time? And sometimes he'd have to tell her things like, nah, it's not very good. And she'd get pissy. She's a pissy girl, like she's a queen. But knowing that in yourself, and knowing that, okay, I really got to trust in this. And know what is, the propaganda that's happening is unfolding. Right now, the Church of England, they're going through a huge thing with the bishops. The bishops are divided right now. They were doing a conclave recently. So they're in a split decision on what they should be doing and things that they want to bring in to the church and making changes there, which is very interesting. So you're going to find, and the other part too is right now, everybody's on the bandwagon of the LGBTQ community. Man, God bless them. Because who else was thrown into the jails? Anybody who was different and weird, right? They'll have ways of stopping it. It's you just got to sit back and you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. Well, we'll let you have your say right now. Yeah, we want you to make sure you're doing the work of controlling the children and making the children under the control of the state, because once the children are in control of the state, we can control the future. Interesting. Oh, you didn't get your child vaccinated? Why didn't you get your child vaccinated? What's going on there? Well, then you can't do this, or this if they're not vaccinated. Well, I want my child to play hockey. I want my child to go to school. I want my child to have an education. Well, they got to do all this. They got to take this experimental elixir. We just added a few hundred more things than what you got when you were a kid. Don't worry about it. It's all good. It's in the name of science. Interesting times we're in, my loves. So there you go. I'm going to send you out with so much love. If you are still wanting a reading, get a hold of me. I'll be around for most of the day. And so if you're wanting a little mini reading, they're $15. They're not longer than 15 minutes, people. Okay. They're not longer than 15. They're short, to the point reading. If you want longer, it is $180. But yeah, it is cray energy right now, people. So let's stand in our light. Let's stand true, because I don't know. I keep on saying to you guys, you think this is fucked up? Wait through November, December, and going into 2024. So hang on, people. We got to be the light workers. We got to be that internal strength. And don't be afraid to show your face. Don't be afraid to show your face. Don't hide. Because when you hide, that's when more fuck starts happening. So have a blessed one. Let's put on our ducky music. Let's go feed the ducks. We're going to go feed the ducks. Bye-bye. See you all.